Winterbrook was a small town wrapped in snow, every street and house shining with Christmas lights. Smoke curled from chimneys, the scent of pine and cinnamon drifted through the air, and children ran along sidewalks laughing, their breath visible in the crisp night. Families decorated trees, baked cookies, and shared stories by warm fires. Everything seemed peaceful and familiar, except for the house at the end of Maple Street. Mr. Flambeau's house was large and old, surrounded by a wrought iron fence twisted with frost. Every year, he transformed his yard into a spectacle of Christmas decorations. Lights flickered in intricate patterns, snowmen with glass eyes stared eerily, and reindeer sculptures seemed almost alive. But there was always something unsettling about the place. The neighbors admired it but whispered stories of people who had vanished mysteriously over the years. A group of teenagers, Alex, Emma, Sam, and Lily, had been fascinated by the rumors for months. Alex, bold and fearless, suggested, "Let's find out what he's hiding this year." Emma, cautious and careful, shivered in the snow. "I don't know. Something feels wrong about this." Sam, the joker, rolled his eyes. "Scaredy cat. It's just an old man and his decorations." Lily, quiet and observant, added softly, "But what if the rumors are true?" Despite their fear, the thrill of discovery won. On Christmas Eve, when the town was quiet and the snow muffled all sound, they approached Mr. Flambeau's yard. The lights shimmered like a fairy tale, but the air felt heavy and still, carrying an unshakable chill. The fence gate creaked as they slipped inside. The yard was dazzling. Hundreds of lights reflected on snow-covered decorations, snowmen with porcelain faces, reindeer frozen mid-step, garlands dripping with icicles. The beauty was mesmerizing, but an eerie silence pressed against them. Not even the wind dared disturb it. Lily stopped. "Look at those ornaments," she whispered, pointing to a twisted tree at the yard's center. The ornaments weren't ordinary. Faces stared out, glassy and lifelike. Eyes seemed to glimmer with awareness, smiles frozen in unnatural angles. Sam reached to touch one and recoiled. This is wrong," Emma gasped. Those are people." Alex's blood ran cold. "The missing townspeople. This is what everyone's been whispering about." Panic set in. The yard felt like it had grown larger, paths twisting and turning as though alive. The gate they had entered through was gone, replaced by snow-laden hedges and shadowy trees. Every step seemed to lead them back to the center. A soft shuffle behind them made them spin. Mr. Flambeau appeared, tall and calm, eyes glinting in the colored lights. "Ah, visitors," he said softly. "I've been expecting you." The teens froze. His calm demeanor made him more terrifying than if he had shouted or screamed. Alex stuttered, "Your collection? It's made of them. All the missing people." Mr. Flambeau chuckled. "Yes. Every year I find beauty in those who wander too far from home. I give them a new purpose, a new life." Emma stepped back, voice trembling. "We need to leave now." But the yard had changed. Paths elongated and twisted. Trees leaned unnaturally. Shadows stretched toward them. Every turn led back to the tree with the ornaments, and Mr. Flambeau's figure always appeared closer than expected. The old man lifted one hand, revealing a small, clear ornament. Inside was a faintly familiar face, the face of Sam, and "Tonight," he whispered, "I have one last ornament to complete my collection." The snow beneath their feet seemed to thicken, slowing them. Lights flickered, casting jagged shadows that stretched unnaturally across the yard. A soft wind whispered names, teasing and mocking them. Panic took over. The teens ran, trying to split up to confuse him. Alex darted to the left, Emma to the right, Lily lagged behind. Snow fell in sharp flakes, wind howling like voices calling from beyond. They stumbled upon frozen figures among the trees, townspeople trapped mid-motion, eyes wide with terror. Their mouths were open as if screaming, but no sound came. The sight was horrifying, nearly stopping the teens in their tracks. "Keep moving!" Lily screamed, tugging at Emma. Branches twisted, snapping underfoot. Lights flickered violently, forming shapes like claws. Every path seemed to loop back to the center tree, where Mr. Flambeau held a glowing ornament. Sam grabbed a branch to swing at the nearest ornament, shattering it. A faint scream echoed, but it didn't stop the others. The old man's eyes glittered, unaffected. Clever, but not enough. Emma tripped on a root, landing in the snow. Her hands clawed at the frozen ground as Sam pulled her free. When she looked up, she saw an ornament with her face staring back. The teens regrouped, trembling and exhausted as Mr. Flambeau approached. "There's no need to be afraid. Soon you'll be part of something eternal." The yard pulsed with red light. Ornaments quivered as if alive. Snow swirled violently, forming small cyclones around the trees. Alex realized one of them had to act or they would all be trapped forever. He lunged at another ornament, breaking it. A faint scream echoed again, but the others were still cornered. Mr. Flambeau's voice was soft, melodic, almost tender. "My collection is complete, except for one." In a blinding flash of red, Alex opened his eyes and found himself alone. The yard was silent, snow falling gently, paths calm. He stumbled home, heart hammering, breathing hard. When he reached his doorstep, a small, delicate ornament lay there. It bore a miniature version of himself, eyes wide in frozen terror. From the shadows came a soft musical laugh, and the town continued celebrating Christmas, unaware of the horror hidden in the Flambeau yard. The Myers family lived in a small, cozy house on Pine Street. Outside, snow fell gently, coating the streets and roofs in white. Inside, the fire crackled warmly, filling the room with light and a soft orange glow. The Christmas tree shimmered with lights, ornaments dangling from its branches. The smell of cookies and cinnamon hung in the air, mixing with the faint scent of pine. It was 7 o'clock when a soft knock echoed at the front door. Mrs. Myers opened it and found a figure shrouded in tattered winter clothing. A scarf covered most of their face and a small lantern flickered in their hand. "I'm a caroler," the stranger said in a gentle, melodic voice. "May I come in for warmth?" Mr. Myers hesitated, exchanging nervous glances with his wife. The children, curious and excited, begged him to let the stranger in. Despite a growing unease, the family welcomed the caroler inside. The figure's eyes glimmered strangely in the firelight, and their presence cast a faint, cold chill over the warm room. The stranger began to sing. It was a version of Silent Night, soft and sweet at first, but slightly off, almost as if the notes were bending unnaturally. The melody filled the room, lingering in corners, echoing in ways that made the walls seem to vibrate. The Myers family watched, spellbound and uneasy. When the caroler accepted cookies and hot chocolate, their voice shifted darker now, with subtle undertones that tugged at the edges of memory. The caroler began another song, one they had sung countless times as a family. But each verse revealed small truths, secrets they had thought forgotten. Arguments, jealousies, moments of betrayal. Each line pricked at their conscience. The words weren't just singing, they were accusations. Emma whispered to her mother, "How do they know all this?" The stranger's smile was calm, almost tender. "I've been watching," they said softly, "waiting for the perfect moment to remind you." As the night wore on, the caroler's songs became more unsettling. Shadows seemed to stretch unnaturally along the walls, moving with the rhythm of the haunting music. The fire flickered violently, casting grotesque shapes across the room. The family realized that the songs weren't just recalling memories, they were shaping reality. Objects shifted slightly when they weren't looking. The walls seemed to grow taller, the hallways longer. Every step they took echoed with whispers of their own past mistakes. Mr. Myers tried to usher the caroler out, but the door would not budge. It was as if the house itself had been transformed, responding to the caroler's presence. A cold wind swirled through the room, carrying faint laughter and the faint scent of frost. The children's eyes widened as the caroler sang about things no one outside the family could know, arguments from years ago, secrets hidden from friends, choices that had caused pain. Panic set in. The house had become a labyrinth. Hallways stretched further than they should, and familiar rooms looked distorted. The family huddled together, hearts hammering, as the caroler glided silently among them, eyes glowing in the dim light. A vase toppled, shattering on the floor. Books flew from the shelves. The shadows seemed alive, creeping along the walls like thin fingers. Outside, the wind howled and snow lashed at the windows as if pressing to get inside. Each verse of the caroler's song drew the family deeper into terror. It whispered their fears aloud, making them confront sins and regrets they had long buried. The room felt suffocating, a pressure that grew with every note. Mrs. Myers tried to speak, but her words caught in her throat. We have to stop this," she stammered. The stranger tilted their head. "It is too late," they whispered, voice soft yet commanding. "The song is finished only when the last note fades." Midnight approached. The caroler's final song was a low, resonant hum that filled the room and rattled their bones. The walls trembled. Shadows stretched like elongated claws across the floor. The fire's flames flickered wildly, casting grotesque dancing images on the ceiling. The family felt trapped in time and space, their memories twisted and exposed. The caroler's voice rose in a crescendo that seemed to merge with the wind outside. The house was alive, breathing, reacting to the song. Then, abruptly, silence. The lantern's glow dimmed. The snow stopped falling. The caroler was gone. The Myers family huddled together, shaken and pale. Outside, the night appeared calm, normal even. But inside, they knew that something had followed them. A presence lingering in the air, in the shadows, in the whispers of their minds. Every Christmas after that night, the family would hear faint notes drifting through the house, soft and haunting. They would glance at the windows, half expecting to see the caroler standing there, lantern flickering, waiting for the next house to enter. The Johnson family prided themselves on their perfect Christmas displays. Each year, their living room pine tree stood tall, decorated with shimmering lights and ornaments collected over generations. But this year, something unusual happened. While exploring an old abandoned lot near their neighborhood, the family stumbled upon a strange tree. Its needles were deep red, as if soaked in the color of blood, shimmering even in the faint winter light. The tree seemed alive in a way that unsettled them, its branches swaying gently despite the absence of wind. "Wow, it's beautiful," said little Lucy, her fingers brushing the crimson needles. "It's unusual," Mr. Johnson replied, hesitating. Something about the tree felt wrong, though he couldn't pinpoint why. The family decided to bring the tree home. As they carried it, a heavy chill followed them. Snow swirled unnaturally around the lot, brushing against their faces like tiny icy fingers. The children laughed nervously, but Mrs. Johnson shivered, whispering, "I don't like this. It feels alive." Once the tree was inside the living room, strange events began almost immediately. At night, faint whispers floated through the air, though the windows were closed and the wind still. Shadows stretched across walls in unnatural patterns, twisting when no light source moved. Lucy complained of nightmares. She saw ghostly figures of people she had never met, whispering warnings about the tree. Her brother Peter refused to enter the room after sunset, claiming he could hear voices murmuring his name. Even the family pets avoided the living room, hissing and growling at the crimson needles. Objects began to shift subtly. Ornaments fell without reason. Garlands twisted themselves around branches as if rearranging. Mrs. Johnson once noticed that when she turned her back, the tree seemed slightly taller, closer to the ceiling than before. One evening, while placing a garland, Mr. Johnson noticed faint red sparkles drifting off the needles. When he blinked, they were gone. Mrs. Johnson felt a presence behind her and turned quickly, but no one was there. Yet the feeling of being watched persisted. As Christmas Eve approached, the tree's malevolent influence grew stronger. The family started arguing over trivial things: who placed the ornaments incorrectly, who left the lights untangled. Tensions rose unnaturally, their tempers sharper than usual. Peter swore he saw hands emerging from the tree's branches, fingers reaching for him. Lucy claimed she heard laughter that didn't belong to anyone in the house. Mrs. Johnson tried to remove the tree, but every tool they used seemed to fail. Saws bent, ropes snapped, and even trying to carry it outside felt impossible. The red needles seemed to pulse, almost like a heartbeat, as if the tree were alive. Night after night, the family became more withdrawn, hypnotized by the crimson glow. Dreams turned to nightmares, visions of the old lot, ghostly faces staring from the shadows, warnings of jealousy, betrayal, and revenge. The house itself seemed to respond. Walls groaned. The floorboards creaked under invisible weight. Doors refused to open and windows frosted over when they tried to look outside. Fear had settled over the family like a heavy, suffocating blanket. On Christmas Eve, the tree erupted in a frenzy of red sparkles, each one twisting into ghostly shapes. The former residents of the abandoned lot appeared, translucent figures with faces twisted in rage, jealousy, and sorrow. They floated silently at first, then began circling the family, whispering threats, laughter, and chilling reminders of past grievances. The Johnsons were forced to confront their deepest fears. Each family member experienced visions of personal failure. Peter relived moments where his choices hurt others. Lucy saw her mistakes in small betrayals. And Mr. and Mrs. Johnson faced decisions they had buried for decades. The spirits mocked them, pressing closer, cold and intangible, whispering that the family would replace them as guardians of the tree. Every failure drew the spirits nearer. The children screamed. The parents tried to shield them, but it was futile. The tree pulsed violently, branches twisting, shedding red needles like blood. The room seemed to shrink and expand at the same time, disorienting them. The family realized that if they resisted too long, they would be consumed, trapped forever in the tree's malevolent hold. As midnight approached, the spirit's frenzy reached its peak. The family huddled together in terror, facing the choice they could not escape: submit or vanish. The red glow enveloped them. One by one, they were absorbed into the tree's essence, their screams echoing for a moment before disappearing. By Christmas morning, neighbors passing by saw the Johnsons standing silently beside the crimson tree, perfectly still. Their eyes were hollow, faces pale. The tree shimmered in the sunlight, its needles glistening like rubies, swaying gently as if alive. The family had become the tree's new guardians, bound to it eternally, waiting to trap the next unwary souls who dared to bring the red tree home. Outside, the neighborhood resumed its festive cheer, oblivious to the horrors within the Johnson house. Even years later, the crimson glow would return briefly at night, faint whispers drifting through the house, a warning that the blood-red tree was always hungry for more.